first, we know you're running for reelection. If you could talk about what originally inspired you to run the first time when you won.
Sure. So, I've been the assistant chief at the state attorney's office for a long time, covering all four counties, St. John's, Flagler, Putnam, and Volusia County under John Tanner and then RJ Larissa. So kind of just that was my leadership test, of course. And then I took over as the chief of police for St. Augustine Beach. And even though it's a small agency, as a small agency, you got to work a lot harder because a lot of things are actually done by you as the person in charge in that particular position as chief of police. So 8 years as the chief of police over there, answering to 5 commissioners because I didn't answer to the city manager. And then, of course, I took over as your sheriff in 2021. So I took my military leadership, took my law enforcement leadership, put it all together, and brought it back home here to the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, and including, of course, working in the prison system too, or jail system as well, because that's, of course, one of my responsibilities here as your sheriff is our jail.
So, as sheriff, what do you think has been one of your most challenging days as sheriff and one of your most happiest days as sheriff?
The happiest day was the day I took that oath of office, standing inside the Castillo de San Marcos fort and took the oath of office to be the sheriff here in St. Johns County. It's just as the 28th sheriff, it was a humbling experience in the oldest county in 1821, standing in the nation's oldest city at 1565. It just all came together. A very powerful day as I took over this agency and got a chance to actually work alongside the men and women of the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. The first challenge, I said, probably one of the biggest challenges I had just 5 months into the job, and that was the Tristan Bailey case. I'd worked so many high-profile cases in the Seventh Judicial Circuit around the all four counties, but this case was something special. Where a little girl was missing. I'd worked the Haley Cummings case where a little girl went missing and never found to this day. And then here we have, of course, Tristan, 13 years old, who's missing and who winds up, of course, in a horrific murder here in St. Johns County. So just difficult to kind of juggle the emotions within the agency, the emotions within the community, of course, and the emotions that were nationally being portrayed, of course, on St. Johns County. And also, too, is dealing with the new platforms of social media and how people are just relentless on the victims and the suspect and the entire circumstances of the case. So I would say that's the for me. And as you remember, I took over as your sheriff during the pandemic. There were terms out there being used like George Floyd. You remember this, and defund the police department. And again, back to the word pandemic. So those were some challenging times as I took over, where recruiting and retention were difficult.
So I was going to ask you, since you've been in office, what do you feel like you've improved upon for the citizens of St. Jones County? And if you're reelected, what do you want to change, improve, modify if as reelected as sheriff?
Yeah, so first, we'll talk about kind of, where the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office is at. And this is, one thing we're proud of here is the recruiting retention, the increases in pay for our employees. Just 4 years ago, I took over our dispatchers, our 911 operators, our PSTs, making low $30,000 a year. Fast forward now, they're over $50,000 a year. We're at full staff in our 911 center. We also talk about our deputy sheriff's pay, same thing, low 40s. This year, if the budget's approved, will be right around $60,000. And then also, too, all of our employees, we forget about all the people that work behind the scenes of the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. So, their pay just 3.5 years ago was in the upper, 20,000s and low 30s. And now they're in the mid to low 40,000. So that recruiting retention has been, very challenging, of course, as we took over this agency and what we've changed for the better. We have a 10% reduction in violent crime. Those are the stats that we report to the Federal Bureau of Investigation every year. But during that, too, we switched from what they call UCRs, Uniform Crime Report, over to NIBRs, to a individual or incident reporting system. That was in the midst, of course, in the middle of my term. So we dealt with that. But in the ending result, it was a 10% reduction in violent crime. Those violent crimes are defined as homicide, robbery, sexual battery, and aggravated assault or aggravated battery. So we're proud to say that the men and women of the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office has done a phenomenal job. As you know, our counties continue to grow, but our crime trends don't grow. And that's with that progressive, professionally aggressive policing and technology-based policing. As we move forward, we're always going to have a challenge of, performing a SWOT analysis every single day because trends change. Our demographics have changed in St. Johns County as we continue to grow. There were some alarming numbers put out recently through the media that, 25 years from now, we're going to be over 600,000 residents in St. Johns County as we continue to push currently at 350,000. So how do we continue to keep this the best place to live, work, play, raise a family, and eventually retire? And that's that community engagement, community involvement, technology-based policing, recruiting, retention, pay, facilities, equipment, making sure we can provide all the necessary means to police and patrol St. Johns County. So got the right people in the right place. We've got great relationships with of course, my brothers and sister in our surrounding sheriff's offices, TK Waters, Michelle Cook, and Gator Deloach, and Rick Staley. It's so important as we continue to police this area together.
And so moving forward, what are some other things that you'd like to see changed or improved within St. Johns County if you're reelected?
Some things we're gonna again, my long-term goals here in the next term, of course, is to continue to improve the infrastructure of the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. I talked to you today from a 1963. It was an old Wise potato chip factory. That's where my office is located at today. We have numerous employees in here too as well. And also to the jail too. We got to continue to address the needs of the jail. So I see myself presenting to the county commission of how are we going to address the issue and needs of the demand on our St. Johns County jail. And that includes substance abuse, mental health programs, juvenile programs. So again, those are things I'm going to continue to do. We're very proud to tell our community here that we've had a reduction in recidivism the last 3.5 years by 10%. We have a very robust reentry program, pre-entry, outreach, and homelessness program we're actually running here. So I'm going to continue to address those issues. But also too, on the law enforcement side of the house is how are we going to continue to integrate the newest and latest technology-based policing through these new platforms? And I think that's what we're doing here in the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office is setting the gold standard on how are we going to police with not just boots on ground, but also too with technology-based policing and tying in that reentry program, that pre-entry program to keeping those numbers down in our county jail. So it's the totality of circumstances that we're going to present forward, but also too, it's that healthy relationship I have with our county commissioners because we got to continue to address our budget needs every year. And that is increasing our pay for our people so they can afford to live, work, and play and raise a family in St. Johns County. That's very difficult, as you know, it's expensive around here. The other thing too, well, is we want our agency to look like our community. So I continue to address the needs of, females in policing and females in the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. So again, those needs, but then again, today we base it on trends. So if there's a new crime trend out there, we have to adjust fire. So what we've done with that is a brand new task force that is 5 deputy sheriffs that targets human trafficking. It targets gun violence and guns and drugs, money laundering, sex trafficking, trafficking with children. So again, those trends we're going to continue to address here at the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. And anything else you want to say leading up to tomorrow? Are you nervous about tomorrow? What are your thoughts?
From a lot of other sheriffs I talk to, and this includes me too as well, if you're not running scared or unopposed, then you're not running properly. So I always respect the process. I know that everybody's beatable, and I respect that process. I don't believe anybody has worked harder than my team here at the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office and the men and women that work currently here at the Sheriff's Office. I'm looking forward to the next 4 years. This is my 30th year in law enforcement this month in August. And one thing I pride myself on is we have not gone down one negative road on my opponent. I didn't do it last time. I won't do it this time. I represent 1,000 members of the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office and over 300,000 residents. And I will continue to hold my morals and ethics to the highest standard because that's who I represent. So not one negative flyer from us, not negative one commercial, not one negative YouTube video. That's not how we do business here in the Sheriff's Office. So yes, ma'am, absolutely. Very nervous about tomorrow night. And it's in the hands of the voters as we speak today or for tomorrow.
Anything else you'd like to say, Sheriff? Because those are the only questions that I have.
No, just as a sheriff for the last 4 years, as a 28 sheriff serving here, it's been a privilege and an honor. I love my job. I love my community. I truly am privileged to be in this position. It's earned, not given. And I will tell you this, it's been an honor to serve in this position as the 28th sheriff. And I'm humbled and privileged. And whatever life takes me down next road, I go down that road with my head held high that we ran a clean campaign.